I'm Stuart Western, this is my wife Sue. We've been going to the Cape, they're our family, we've been going there now for 4 years, 4 years. But we just wanted to share our testimony that what happened last year actually, you know, it was such a blessing in the way that God worked in the healing process that I went through, but also, you know, the prayers that were answered and the way they were answered is one of the great parts of the testimony. In late April of last year, I was having trouble, sorry for the subject, but going to the bathroom. At first we thought it was just constipation. We went to our local doctor, and she prescribed the usual laxatives and things like that. It didn't get any better. I had a CT scan that she sent me to for, and again that came back as just severe constipation. And this carried on for another couple of days until once the Saturday morning I woke up and I was in so much pain, it was agony. And Sue, bless her, she said, come on, we're going to, first of all we said we'd go to the walk-in centre. We saw the doctor there. He took one look at me and said, you need to go to the ER. So we were on our way to Health Park. We went to Health Park, and they did exactly all the same sort of tests that the doctor did. And again, you know, the first thing is that they were thinking it was just severe constipation. I had a second CT, and they were waiting for the results on that. They decided to admit me. So we stayed in on the Saturday night over onto the Sunday morning.
He was so ill and I could really sense that something was wrong. But they just kept prescribing things, and as Stuart said, his stomach was blown. Nurses were good, but they just kept pumping with things, you know, medication. And I got to the degree that I was thinking something's got to be done here for my husband because something doesn't feel right. And that was the Sunday we were going for more tests, and I was sitting there in the hospital and saying, please Lord, please, we need help. We really need help. And that's when our guardian angel walked through the door.
So just before 12 o'clock we had this guy walk through the door, Dr. Neil, and he just said, I'm stopping all the tests. He said, I've just been getting texts, you know, he was on duty, he was getting pages, and he said, I've looked at your scans, the 2 scans. He said, you've not got constipation. He says, you've got a blockage in your colon. He says, I'm stopping all the tests. I'm transferring you over to Gulf Medical Centre. He said, by 2 o'clock you'll be over there. He said, we'll be operating at 4 o'clock. And that was bang on.
And it was just a wow moment because we were thinking that I knew something was wrong, but not this. And he did actually sit down with us. His name's Dr. Jeffrey Neal, amazing surgeon. And he just sat there and he says, this could possibly be cancer. And he came and explained that if he hadn't operated on Stuart that Sunday afternoon, his bowel had burst 5 places. I wouldn't have had my husband. So I believe God sent him at the right time to come into our lives to operate on Stuart and save his life. About 3 or 4 days.
It was about, I had the operation on the Sunday. It was about Wednesday evening that he came back, and he said, you know, he explained exactly what I was going to do. He put me with a colostomy that we called Henry.
We called him Henry.
Which is a vacuum cleaner in England, but it looked just like this, the Oster that was here with the bag. Exactly what he said he was going to do, that's exactly what he did. But the bombshell came, obviously, I think it was the Wednesday night, and he came in about 6 o'clock and he said, unfortunately, you've got stage 3C cancer. It's gone into the lining of your colon, so he said, unfortunately you're going to have chemotherapy and all that. But he did turn around and say, he said, I don't think you would need radiation. So we just
had to process it, didn't we? I had to call my family in England. It was a very difficult time to process it. and Dr. Neil was very thorough of what was going to happen for Stuart. And I was prompted, and I'm sure it was the Holy Spirit that prompted me to look at research on chemotherapy, on the colon cancer stage 3 my husband had got. And they'd recently in June had a big meeting with Canada, I think it was Canada, England and America, of urologists about looking at people with the same cancer my husband's had, that 6 months against 3 months there wasn't much difference. So in fact we found that research, it wasn't a Wikipedia or anything like that, it was a legitimate research. So while I was very blessed to go with my husband for chemotherapy when he was going through it, and we mentioned it to the nurses and said, we found this research, is it possible that we can, you know, talk to our oncologist, Dr. Esper, about shortening the chemotherapy? And we had a consultation with Dr. Esper during the chemotherapy session one day, and he says, I know exactly what the research you're talking about, and yes, we can shorten your husband's chemotherapy. And to me that was another answer to prayer, and it was amazing, wasn't it? So you were shortened.
So I was, instead of 6 months, you know, 12 sessions of chemotherapy, I had 3 months, which was the 6th. And it was great, you know, like Sue said earlier, we sent out prayer requests, and obviously we know the church was praying, but and the greatest blessing, you know, we talk about testimonies and things like that, you know, we both really come from a background of non-believers, and my sister, we've sort of prayed for her, and not just my sister, but I mean obviously all of our family, but her in particular, because a friend of hers, a very close friend of hers, died of cancer some years ago, and she was totally against God. But, you know, little brother, you know, it was different things. So, you know, we kept on saying, you know, God's this, like Sue said, you know, we had a guardian angel coming in, and we kept on talking to her until, you know, the blessing we had, she went to a Christmas Mass, and she said, I'm going because I need to say a prayer for you and for your recovery and to thank God, you know. So our family have witnessed a phenomenal sort of testimony. And, you know, I'm as it is now, you know, I mean, everything's been reconnected, everything works perfectly okay, all the cancer's been removed, you know, and from that, you know, we've come with this great testimony, and you know, and when I came out of hospital, family and friends, and especially the church family, rallied around, bringing meals and things like this, you know, so
I mean, it's just the power of prayer, and the Lord, how he's just taking care of us, both of us, through this, and just to encourage others that the power of prayer and what God can do, you know, and even like Stuart says, the knock-on effect with non-believers, like, you know, most of our family, of seeing what's happened through Stuart and through God's prayer.
So so testimony for 2018.